Okay, we have that feedback. Can you just, because if he speaks, would be here and from there. Hello? No, it's not. Hello? I think that works. Hello? Sounds good. The audio. Yeah, the audio. I think there's a problem on the screen. Are you able to hear? Let me first do this. Are you able to hear?
Yes, I'm able to hear, but are we already on YouTube yet or not yet?
We are live streaming right now.
Okay.
Yes. So just confirm with me if you're able to see.
I'm able to see you properly.
Okay.
Yes, I'm seeing you well, very well.
Sure.
Okay.
Just share the slides then.
So let me know when I should start recording.
No. All right, I will. You can go to your presentation. So because we will not be able to see. But
Let me know when I should start recording.
all right, sure. That feedback again is fine. Huh? Yes. Appreciate it. Yeah, shall we start?
Like, can we just opt out of the? Okay, yeah. Fine now. Okay, can we start? Okay, great.
Are you able to hear me, Trudy?
Yes, I'm hearing you
Hello?
perfectly.
You're able to hear me, Trudy?
Yes, I'm able to hear you perfectly.
Okay, so you can start now recording.
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
perfect. Okay, welcome everyone. Wow, amazing to see such a large crowd for this talk. I'm Marcel. I'm from HiGit, the Heidelberg Institute for Geoinformation Technology. Long name, just HiGit. And I have like some 20 slides for you on routing, on accessibility, and also using traffic data with it. Here we go. Next slide. Okay, who we are, HiGit. We do research based in Germany, and our main research area is OpenStreetMap. We do different areas, but today I talk mostly about routing, which is one of the three main pillars of our work. We also do OpenStreetMap and big data analysis in general, and also how to use OpenStreetMap data and volunteered data, open data for humanitarian response. But yeah, today we just talk about routing and accessibility. Here we go. Next slide. Perfect. Okay. So routing for us is mainly one software tool called openrouteservice. Open software on GitHub, free, and based solely on OpenStreetMap data. So every data that is mapped here, also in Cameroon, can be used for routing with openrouteservice. We have a website. You can use it on the web. You can also use it yourself on your local computer and set it up for a single country or a single district. So there are different parts of the service, like A to B routing, like from here to your own center. You can also do many-to-many routing if you have multiple origins, multiple destinations. And another big thing is isochrones. I'm going to explain what isochrones are a couple of slides later. So you can interact with openrouteservice via an online website, but there's also a QGIS tool which you can use, and then like the routes which you get back, like these line geometries or isochrones, which are polygons, and use them in your analysis workflow. Yeah, QGIS, but also in Python or in R. Next slide, please. So openrouteservice has also some specialities, like there are different mobility profiles. Like the most usable, of course, is a car profile, but there's also pedestrian and bikes. And there's also other things, like you can, for instance, delineate areas where you don't want to route through. So for instance, these are examples from the Turkey and Syria earthquake response, where you have blocked areas, blocked roads, and you don't want to have like routes or accessibility analysis for these areas. So you can just delineate polygons that will be avoided by the tool then. Can you go? Next slide. Perfect. Okay, so what is accessibility analysis, or what do we mean by accessibility? So there are many different dimensions to access to services, monetary. If we talk about healthcare, for instance, insurance, etc. So with this tool, we only cover physical access, and by physical access, we mainly talk about travel time towards healthcare services, or schools, or in emergency responses, also cash distribution centers. And we use mobility models, which are an abstraction of reality. So how long does it take me from here to Yaoundé center? We could model that in our GIS world with raster data, where every cell would model a cost of like passing through, or like openrouteservice does it with a network, where every way that is mapped, every vector way, every line has a cost associated, like travel through it. For instance, a paved road has less cost for a car than maybe a dirt road that has not a flat surface. So what questions arise in this domain for accessibility analysis? So for instance, we focus a lot on healthcare access. So we can investigate questions, how many households are served or within a certain catchment area of a hospital. But you can also do that, of course, for schools. You can also try to get indication, okay, how many households would potentially utilize a facility if they would use as only motivation like distance and not consider other factors like, okay, what type of facility is it? Yeah, and therefore we can identify gaps in supply where many households are beyond a certain threshold to a service. Can we go to the next slide? Okay. So how do we do that? So we don't do raster. We use openrouteservice, which uses vector data, OpenStreetMap data, and creates a network. And then we have Isochrone. It's just a name which has a meaning. But in the end, you can think about it, okay, it delivers you the answer to the question, what area is reachable from a certain position in a certain time. So if you think about it, okay, I'm positioned here now in Bambuco, how far could I reach by car in 30 minutes? And then you get like a polygon. Here we also get like different intervals. This is Kigali, and I think this is a threshold of 30 minutes for a car, for instance. Can we go to the next one? So we've done some analysis, and I will just like quickly go through that. So as we are a research institute, so we did some papers on that using global data. Here that was Sub-Saharan Africa. This was a raster, so not that interesting. I mean, that comes at a certain cost. So as we have OpenStreetMap data and we have like very explicit vector geometries, very hyperlocal, and we can create a network graph out of it. We can also have like very precise data where we have a good coverage. These raster analysis, they are often very coarse. So here, for instance, one cell is a kilometer, and there can be a lot of diversity within a kilometer. Can you go to the next slide? Perfect. So we've done that again, but using vector data networks. So this is an analysis based where we use openrouteservice isochrones globally. So we fetched all the healthcare facilities, not only secondary like hospitals, but also primary health centers, dispensaries. And we calculated 60 minutes for each of these points. The points came from OpenStreetMap 2, the road network, of course, also from OpenStreetMap, and done it on a like country scale globally. And we're able to then answer the question, okay, how many people live beyond 60 minutes per country from the closest facility? Can you go for the next slide? Perfect. And this is another analysis where we incorporated then, which I mentioned earlier, these like void areas, like areas, you remember the Syria-Turkey earthquake, areas where where roads were blocked, you don't want to pass through. This is based on the flood extent during the cyclone Idai in Mozambique. And therefore, we were able to do analysis, okay, how many people were within a certain threshold to have a facility, and how did that change if we add the flood layer? How many people were not within that threshold anymore? Can you go to the next slide? And yeah, these are more examples also with flood layers in Jakarta. And the other one is capacity, where we also consider not only, okay, how many people to the closest facility, but how many people to how many facilities. So these are all things we've done when it comes to accessibility. But now let's talk about the problems with these models. Because what you so far saw is a best case scenario. So we have a lot of these models, but yeah, let's put it that way. They are best case scenarios. They are wrong. They are mostly based on northern heuristics, like how fast can you travel on routes. And of course, we also have missing data, like mostly, okay, the road type and surface. And we also have the main problem of the traffic is not incorporated. And this is what I want to talk about today. You can go to the next one. These are more examples here. For instance, unfortunately, probably in the back, you can't see it. This is a route from Mbamboko to the center of Yaoundé. I don't know how many people do that commute for the conference in the morning, but here we get a best case of like 15 minutes, where I think if you incorporate the rush hour and the traffic there, it's more like to an hour probably. And there's another example from Kigali to Gileni, where I know from personal experience that's more like a 4-hour travel, but here we get results for like 3 hours. But that's not the traffic here. Normally there's not too much traffic on that road, but the model is not perfect for, I mean, the road conditions are also good, but it also does not really good incorporate it's a very hilly road, let's say. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, but talk about traffic. So there's Uber. I'm not sure if everyone knows Uber. Uber is a ride-hailing service. Like I think here in Cameroon, Yango is very popular. There are other countries where it's Grab or Bolt. So you can just hire a taxi with this app and then go from a location to another. So they publish their data about these trips and also how the road speed changes. Like they know because they have GPS-enabled mobile devices in their cars, so they know how fast they travel from A to B at what time. So they be able to track the speed during rush hour, but also over the whole day. And yeah, they publish it for free. I mean, it's a commercial, it's a company, but they publish it for free for 40 cities globally, covering 2018 to 2020 in time. So you would, of course, it's not recent data, but you get a glimpse of how in these cities the rush hour looks like or other patterns. Can you go to the next slide? So, but then this happened. This data source is closed now. Before it was totally free and available, and with a very free license. I think except for commercial use, you could do anything with it. But now it's closed. But can you go to the next slide? So it's closed recently, just 1st of October. But only the download infrastructure, like the interface, is gone. The data license didn't change. So if you still have it on your hard drive, you can use it. So there are actually already, like, there are many people who did research with it, and there's an effort for sharing that. But still, I mean, I will talk about that seconds later, but we only had 3 African countries in that data set. It was 40 cities globally, but there was only Nairobi, Cape Town, and I think Durban included. So many, even like very big cities, are missing in this data set. So we need independent alternatives. I mean, this is a market, like the big players like TomTom and Tier, they have this data, and of course it's a business, they sell it. So there is no free alternative. This was a free alternative, but like very localized to these cities. Can we go to the next? Okay, so how would we use that in OpenRouteService? So we actually did a project with a German agency because they were interested in using this in our software. So we created an interface where you can just, this is like a basic example of how OpenRouteService works. You take OpenStreetMap data, freely available, and you download, the Uber data comes in CSV files, like tabular data. And then you're already able to use it. Like, okay, normally you would do like a route from A to B, and then you would do, okay, I want a route from A to B, Mbamboko to Yaoundé, but in the morning at 7. And then you would get like more information, or like more precise temporal information, how that trip would change given the traffic at that time on a certain road segment. And I forgot that in the last slide. The really cool thing about Uber, still, I mean, it's a company, but they use OpenStreetMap data, and that makes it so easy to use it in OpenRouteService and other OSM tools, because they have the IDs of the segments, and that makes it super easy. I mean, of course, we could also go online, take Google or Apple Maps, take a photo, and then try to solve the map matching, but this is like tedious work. Okay, and also like the license is a problem, yeah. Can you switch to the GIF? Sorry, no, just this. I think we had it. Just a second. The one, yeah. Okay, so this is what we can then do with OpenRouteService. This is like we have 5 locations in Nairobi. we use the Uber data and isochrones, like these areas, how like reachable within the yellow area is 5 minutes, the blue one here is 10 minutes, and the violet one is 20 minutes. And you see here the time by hour how that changes. You could also refer to it like the heartbeat of Nairobi, like the rush hour, of course, more traffic, the accessibility shrinks, and rush hour is over, the road network is less saturated, less congested, accessibility increases again. Okay, perfect. Can we get back to the slides? So this is very visual. And the next one. And the next one. Perfect. The next one. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and then just recently we met some people at the State of the Map US. Payne from the World Resource Institute in Washington, and he came up with an idea how we could use this data for doing impactful research. And we teamed up with other people, also with Agra, who just joined the room here from World Resource Institute in Africa, and also with people from UN Environmental Program in Nairobi and universities in the US. And they already did research about traffic to schools, like commuting to schools within Nairobi. And they already knew about problems or challenges in public health transport systems for school commutes. And this data provided an opportunity. Do we also see patterns in this data set? Can you go to it? Perfect. So unfortunately, probably for the people in the back, hard to see. I will, of course, share these slides afterwards. So first we looked at Uber provides us with the road speed by hour on a certain road segment, like it is mapped in OpenStreetMap. And we compared it, okay, how does it change for school, like for times of the year where you have the school is in session and the holiday period. And first you see, of course, you see patterns like, okay, even during school term, during the night, speeds are very high. Of course, no traffic, people can go full speed. But then you have a pattern in morning rush hour from 6 to 9, where it significantly changes. So you see the holiday period is actually faster. So this was the initial validation for the hypothesis of our partners of UN Environmental Program. So we investigated further and mapped more, but this is just the Uber side. So we just looked at speeds over time. This is the whole span of the year from 2019 to 2020, every day, the average. And we saw that pattern, yeah, the school term significantly affects the speed compared to the holiday in the morning rush hour. Can you? Perfect. We also did that for the different road types. And so, okay, the pattern is not that visible in the motorway, but we see it a lot in primary. So these are OSM highway types for primary and secondary roads. We don't see it much for residential, but that's also a nature of Uber data. Most trips in Nairobi are on the primary, secondary, and tertiary roads because the most share of roads in Nairobi are, of course, residential, but not that many trips happen there with Uber. Like in the end, they will all end up on the primary road getting from one part of the city to another. And this is also the methodology of Uber. They only, this is only represented in the data if they have more than 3 trips per hour. And of course, not a whole neighborhood takes Uber in the morning. It's maybe like here a person, there a person. But in the end, yeah, they end up all on the main connecting roads, which are by nature primary or secondary roads. Can we go to the next slide? And we see that also here. We did some OSM analysis. We saw, for instance, okay, 2019, they fetched the data because there we see most of the segments in the Uber data present. So Uber did that work for us, matching it against the OSM data. Next slide. And this is, yeah, basically mapped like this is like the whole the road speed changes in proper Nairobi. And we see the blue segments are slower. And you see already here, this is part of the expressway and the main highway that goes through, that is slowed down, and most of the CBD here as well. Oh, sorry, I don't, I see only here. Okay, that's the problem. Sorry. Can you go one back? No, I'm lost. Okay, we already saw that. Okay, perfect. Okay, but now we know, okay, some roads are slower, some roads are quicker, faster. What does it actually mean for access? So getting back to that one of the question before. So this shape here is Nairobi. Below here, this is a national park, and we have some military areas here. These are red. So for this map, we looked at, okay, from every location, this is 500 hexagons. We took the 500-meter hexagons, we took the centroid, and routed to the CBD, to the central business district. And what we see is basically the brownish areas, they are faster actually during the school morning rush hour. So they are actually not affected, or actually they are affected for better. So they can move faster through the city, or at least to the CBD, and from there to everywhere else, because it's like a hub. But the blue shaped ones, they are slower. So we see there's not only a congestion problem that there, or a challenge that the road network is saturated at some point and it slows down unevenly. So that means neighborhoods here are more affected than, or differently affected than neighborhoods in the brownish areas. So that's basically the change in also like how traffic can play a role in accessibility, and also of course getting more to realistic travel times. But again, if we go to next slide, we lack the data. I mean, we had the data from Uber, which was great, it was available, but still only for 40 cities. Of course, there are methods where you could try to extrapolate it. But yeah, the coverage still only 40 cities, but it was free and open, and you could just use it like openrouteservice, and the database, the OSM is free by nature, and you could just pull that in. So we lack the data, especially for traffic. Of course, there's also improvement we could do, like with the road network quality. There are different projects going on. For instance, we looked recently at mapillary data to get more information. Okay, we started very easy or quite simple. Okay, how is a road paved or not? If we don't have that information for areas, you could of course go further. There are other tags like smoothness and track type, for instance. But yeah, so actually this is my open question here. We lack the data for traffic, and I mean, I would be happy if Uber comes back and opens up the data again, or maybe they just don't want to host it. I think any other like routing organization into routing would be happy to take that over, but it's also not a sustainable solution. So if there are any like people working transport here and already maybe collecting data like we see in that brilliant workshop this morning, would be great to discuss more about how can we use local agencies to collect this data. I mean, how did Uber did it? Like they just had people using the app with their smartphones. So I think this is something you could also do like with volunteers or with projects where you either already collect data on GTFS, for instance. Yeah. And with that, I end, I think. Is there another slide? Yeah, that's just me. Feel free to reach out. Happy to talk. You said 5 minutes?
No, it's 10.
Okay. I'm just wondering if we have time for questions, or if I'm too over time.
5 minutes.
No, there's
Another session that is starting now. Maybe one question.
Maybe,
Otherwise, feel free to
maybe one question.
Okay, if there's any.
Any
Yeah,
questions?
satisfied. Oh yeah, what yeah. If I would know, I mean, of course, I tried reaching out. There's now a contact formula where a contact form where there was the download website before. And yeah, since 1st of October, it's just not accessible anymore. I don't think that it's really that they don't want to share that data because it's out there. It's on, for Nairobi, I have it on my hard drive, but I don't have it for Cape Town. I don't have it for the other cities that were available. And that's a pity. But maybe it's also just they don't want to like be responsible for or hosting the infrastructure to downloading it, because it was also not just download links. There was kind of an API where you also had like tokens and these kind of things. So maybe it's just an infrastructure thing, but I also wrote about that. I'm happy to take over that. I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, there are multiple data portals. I mean, we just heard this morning about Tumi. I mean, it's a great data resource. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
We're done 2D, so you can stop.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Merci, Jim, pour cette présentation. Plus tarder, nous allons passer à la prochaine session.